How many people here, can you still hear me on the microphone?
Just talk.
How many people here were here last night? Do you remember when Lama Christie was talking to the angels, asking for the angels' help? As I was coming in tonight to introduce Bishop Michael and Lama Christie, I was turning on my phone, and there was a text message coming up, and it said, "Do you have Jesus' phone number? I need it right now." Jamie Costas, are you in the audience? Yes, she is. My friend Jamie was text messaging me or emailing me or whatever for the number of men in Jesus. In our house. So you see, they're not very far away. My name is Lindsay Krause, and I'm on the board of what is called ACI LA, which is the Asian Classics Institute, Los Angeles. Geshe Michael was the first American to get what is called a Geshe degree in a Tibetan monastery in India, which takes about 20 years. It's like a super doctor. And out of his great love, he distilled down the most essential aspects of what he had learned into 18 courses, put them up online, taught others to teach them, and we teach them at our center, the Mahasiddha Center, which means Great Bliss Center, Great Happiness Center, in Salt Lake City. Geshe Michael and Lama Christie were born in the same hospital in Long Beach at different times. Lama Christie is a great scholar of Buddhism, knows Tibetan, Sanskrit, French, is an unbelievable teacher, so beautiful, so clear. And Geshe Michael may be one of the greatest teachers I've ever encountered. The bottom line of Buddhism is to open your heart. And every time you hear these two teach, that's what happens. It's like undergoing an operation without anesthesia. When you get up and leave, you are changed. Remember Lama Christie said last night, you better think about me. You will. You will. And you will do something differently because you were here today. There's a story of a priest who went to an interfaith conference in upstate New York at John D. Rockefeller's mansion. And as he was driving up the long drive with beautiful trees lining the drive-through, got a first glimpse of this enormous mansion. And he looked up and he said, "This is what God would do if he had money." I want to really thank Father Peter for being so open to let God do what we are all here to do. It's a very special person here tonight who have taken a Saturday to come here to this church in a very vast city, this mighty group, to listen to these teachings, and to me, someone of another faith being open enough and having the compassion to know that there's different strokes for different folks, that the same thing is being said, but whoever listens, whatever way best, that's the offering. And this teaching is an offering. So it's very hard to introduce someone of this magnitude, both of these people. And I just wanted to say before I finish, it's impossible, basically. And plus, they say you are the sum of the history of your karma. So really the only Geshe Michael that's around right now is the one that you're about to see. Silly of me to talk about the trail of his left behind. But I want to say before I finish that Geshe Michael's mother is here, that Lama Christie's mother is here. president of our board, Lauren Benjamin, her mother is here. And I just want to honor the mothers. In Buddhism, they say that all beings are our mothers, and we should treat them that way. Thank you so much for being here.
My mom.
Is it?
Yeah.
Hi. Thank you for coming. We also like to thank Mahasita Center for having us, and they've done a beautiful job environmentally. Lauren's mom is And we'd like to thank Father Peter and the church. It's a very beautiful church. It's an honor to be here. It has a very good feeling in this church. So just to review for people who are here, schleppers who were here yesterday. We're talking about a series of paintings, 15 paintings. They were in the palace of the Dalai Lama when Tibet was attacked. And during the bombing of the palace, the Dalai Lama and his family grabbed the paintings and rolled them out. They're scroll paintings, and then ran. Walked down out of the Himalayan mountains, took a month. Very dangerous journey. 4 Chinese armies were after them. 4 different armies of the Chinese army. And then they brought the paintings out to India, and then they eventually reached a small Mongolian temple in New Jersey, which at the time was the only Tibetan organization in the United States. And so they were sort of put in this corner, and they got lost. And then we had an opportunity to find them. We found them, I don't know, about 15, 20 years ago. And we got interested in them, and then we found an ancient manuscript which explains what's going on in the paintings. So these are 15 paintings devoted to the life of Geshe, who is the teacher of the first Dalai Lama. So if you think of the Dalai Lamas, they've been going on 600 years now. And we're on number 14. Right? And the first one was really, really extraordinary. And he was trained by this high Lama called Geshe. So Geshe invented the Dalai Lamas. And to study his life and to learn from him is to have an example of how we can live our own lives. You see? So we spent a lot of time in the monastery studying the teacher of the first Dalai Lama, just what did he do with his life? And what were the different activities and different roles that he played during his life? And so we did a book, it's here. It took about 15 years. It was published this year. And it's this big, expensive art book. It has a translation of the ancient manuscripts that tell you what's happening in his life. And we're raising money with it. We're selling them for like $100 and something, and we're raising funds for the small temple in New Jersey because they are very, very poor. They're in a very bad, a very rough area of New Jersey, and they have no money. And all the members of the congregation are refugees, and so we made the book and we're selling the book to raise money for them. We've raised about $40,000 so far and given it to the temple. So, if you like, and if it's something you'd like to do, I think temples like this, churches like this, are very important. You know, you drive through this neighborhood from Lincoln, and it's pretty, what do you call it? Nondescript. It's just, everything's the same. You don't know what's going on. Everything looks the same. But then you hit the church, you know, and there's a feeling about the church. And what a church does in the neighborhood. You know, the way a church changes the neighborhood. And this temple in New Jersey is the same. The neighborhood is very rough. Like gangs walking around. And here's this Buddhist temple in the middle of the neighborhood. And it has changed the neighborhood. It's been there 50 years now. This year will be 50 years the temple has been there. So we encourage you to get one, and then you can come up and we'll sign it, and it's worth a lot more. It's a limited edition. And then we have these we have posters that we're going to put out, and we're encouraging everyone, if they would consider to buy a book for Tibetan refugee lamas. So the lamas that came out of Tibet, they walked out of Tibet into the poorest country in the world. And they're very, very poor. I remember one time we did a shoe drive for them. And we collected many boxes of shoes. And we sent them to the refugees, you know. And we got this letter back. The shoes in box number 3 were very good for climbing up hills, but very bad for climbing down hills. And then they figured out they were a whole box of high-heeled shoes. And this is from the monks. So the monks they were complaining about them. But you know, we've tried to help them for 20 years now. They're very, very poor. So the lamas, they very much want the book, and we want to just give them a copy. So all the big lamas got taken already, like the Dalai Lama, and, but probably there might be some lama on the list that you know. And we're also sending them free to yoga teachers, because there's a very beautiful section about how yoga came to Tibet. So the yoga that you do in America came from a lineage that was in Tibet. And we'll be talking a little bit about that tonight. So we're going to go through maybe 6 different parts of the Lama's life, so-called life, and things that you and I can do, things that we can do, that he did, that especially relate to relationships. Okay? So most people don't know, but this particular poster here is about when a monk reaches a certain degree in their training. In Tibet, it was Geshe. So Geshe takes 20 years of training. And then you're examined by, in my monastery, 1,300 monks examine you. And then when you graduate, you're allowed to go to a special monastery where you learn higher arts. And they include having a spiritual partner. So in that scene, you see Jetsun Kappa in about 1410 meeting his spiritual partner for the first time. And there are beautiful, beautiful teachings in Tibet about how to meet a partner, how to stay together, and then how to be happy together. You can say 3 steps, right? I mean, first you have to find them. Then you have to keep them, which is sometimes more difficult. And then you have to be happy together, which is even more difficult. So sometimes you keep them and you're not happy, right? So in the Tibetan books, they have very ancient, beautiful teachings on these teachings, how to find a partner, how to keep them, how to be happy together. They call it spiritual partners. people ask us, I'm sort of interested in Buddhism, but my husband could care less. And, can we be spiritual partners? And I think what's important to know is that it's that the method of the relationship is spiritual and not what you do. So you don't have to go to church to be spiritual partners. That's not what you should. It's not that you are outwardly spiritual. It's that to find your partner, to keep your partner, and to live a good life with your partner, to be happy together. You use special spiritual methods. You use certain spiritual methods. That's the first principle. And what's cool, the second principle is that your partner doesn't even have to know that you're doing it. Like, they don't have to know anything about what you're doing, and they don't have to agree to anything that you're doing. You just do it quietly by yourself. It's an inner practice of perfecting your relationship. So, what we're going to describe is an inner method of making a relationship perfect. So, we did about 6 of the posters last night, and we're going to start on 6 more tonight. I get to do this first one. Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know where it is, but it's up here. It's called Find Your Heart Teacher. And in the painting, in the upper left, some couple is studying a thing called Mame Niljo. Mame Niljo means the art of finding your teacher. And we believe in Asia, in the Asian spiritual traditions, and in Jesus' time. If you study Jesus' teachings and the way his disciples related to him. And I think one very interesting thing is that the Apostle Thomas was selected by Jesus after the crucifixion. Jesus came to the disciples, and Thomas was told to go to India. He fought the instruction. He said, first of all, I can't speak Hindi, I'm a Jew, I only speak Hebrew, And Jesus came in an afternoon and said, you must go. He refused to go, twice. Third time, he was in the market in Jerusalem. We saw this market. And Thomas was sitting, the Gospel of Thomas says that, there's an apocryphal book about Thomas's life. And it says that he was sitting in a coffee shop in Jerusalem, probably a Starbucks. And then Jesus came. This is after the crucifixion. Jesus came to a slave trader across the street. And he said, I have an extra slave I'd like to sell. And then the slave trader says, well, describe him. He says, well, he's a master carpenter. Very useful slave. And that slave trader was called Haban. He was a very famous for bringing slaves to India. Because there were Indian kings who wanted the Jewish skills, especially in making Greek architecture and art. And so there was a standing order from a king called Ganga, who was one of the 3 kings who showed up at the birth of Christ. And he lived in a city called Taxila in North India. And he had ordered a slave who knew Greek architecture and who could come to Bactria, which is North India. So Jesus goes to the slave trader and says, I have an architect, I'll sell you. Gandaphoris is excited. The slave trader. He says, great, how much do you want for it? He says, well, a slave should never be traded for more than his master. I'll take 20 silver pieces. Because Jesus was sold for 30. By Judas, right? So they agreed to the deal. And Jesus hands over this bill of sale to Haman. Haman goes across the street with Jesus to where Thomas is sitting. Right? And he can't believe the price. It's too good of a price. So he calls up Thomas and he says, do you know this man? Is this man your master? And Thomas looks up and here's Jesus. And he says, he's my only Lord and Master. Click, click. And they took him near the Red Sea by by boat around to India. And then Thomas came to North India. He taught at Taxila. He died near Madras, in Chennai. And he taught. And we believe that the teachings of Thomas changed Buddhism forever. There's a trend in Buddhism that happened at that time called Mahayana. A teaching of great compassion entered Buddhism at that time. Buddhism changed radically during the time of Thomas in India. And one of the most important teachings of it is that you must have a teacher. You must have a spiritual teacher. And it was the same in the time of the Jews in Jerusalem. You needed to have a rabbi. You know, when the disciples addressed Jesus, they always call him Rabbi, Rebbe. Right? And you can think of a teacher in spiritual things is like an arm or a leg. You see? You can't, it's impossible to succeed in spiritual things if you don't have a teacher. It's out of the question. You see? Like, if you wanted to learn piano, you'd have to have a teacher. You know, you can't even Google can't teach you piano. You know, you can find thousands of, websites about piano, and you can click on them all day. You know? But there's something about the hand of your teacher on your hand, on the keys, right? There's this magic. There's 100 generations of blessings are passed from one hand to another when your piano teacher puts their hand on your hand, right? And it's the same with the spiritual things, you know. Like, you can go on the ACILA website and you can download thousands of pages of meditation instruction, right? But it's not worth half an hour with a teacher, you see? It's a difference. There's a blessing when a spiritual teacher like Jesus speaks to their disciple and teaches them how to pray or how to meditate. There's a blessing of 100 generations past in the words, in the sound, in the feeling, in the warmth of the body that can't be passed down any other way. So for us, in our tradition of the Dalai Lamas, from the teacher of the Dalai Lama, first Dalai Lama, you must find a teacher. You have to find a teacher. You have no choice. You can't go anywhere without a teacher. Impossible. So, it's like partner, okay? It's like a partner. You have to find this teacher. Okay? How do you find a teacher? What we've been saying yesterday is you can jump all the ideas you have about finding a teacher. So if I went to India, if I went to Dharamshala, if I found a bald guy in a red suit, that's how I would find a teacher. Or maybe I would go look on the web for centers or how do you find a teacher? It's the same as finding a partner. Okay? We say don't find a teacher. Don't find a partner. Make them. Create them. That's the only way you'll ever get them. See? You don't go out to Starbucks or to a club or to the promenade and look for somebody. Right? In this system of spiritual partners, it's totally, how do you say it? Different. It's unique. It's something completely new. You want to find a nice partner? Sit at home. Lock the door. You want to find a mama. You want to find a teacher. A true teacher, heart teacher. Teacher for your whole life. Right? Someone who can save your life. Right? Go home and lock the door. And create the causes. You see? Just create the causes. And then they will come and knock on you. You see? You don't have to go anywhere. I went to India. I was 19. I went to the Dalai Lama. In those days you could go to his house and knock on the door and he'd come out on the porch and talk to you. And we knocked. And then he came out. And I said, I need a teacher. Where's he going to go? Can you teach me? Who's going to teach me? He said, go back to New Jersey. I said, I just came from New Jersey. He said, your teacher's there. He's 45 minutes from where you just lived for the last 5 years. Here's the address. And I did. And he was there. sit at home and you create the causes of your teacher. So what are the causes of a teacher? How do you create a teacher instead of finding a teacher? Right? It's just a general rule of all karma, all life. Whatever you want, what? Do it for someone else first. That's the hard part. Okay? It has to be unilateral. It has to be with faith, with knowledge, right? Whatever you want in your life, whatever you want in your partner. I want my partner to be more affectionate. My partner never hugs me. I go home, I'm ready for a hug, they never hug me. So, what do? Complain to them? Then they don't want to hug. Or they give you this, they don't even press you in the back, they just sort of do this and I go. And, if you want more affection from your partner, we say, and I think Jesus would say, there's only one way. You must be more affectionate. And not just to your partner, but to everyone. You see? And then you plant the seeds for affection in your own mind. And then you see affection all around you. See, this is karma. Karma is planted in the mind by being affectionate to your partner. But more importantly, being affectionate to all the strangers around you. Right? Love them, be friendly, be open, reach out at the store, everywhere you go. Just reach out, be more affectionate to people. Love people. Then you go home and there'll be all these hugs waiting for you. You see? Because the hugs are coming from your mind. You see, the hugs are coming from your mind. So how do you find a teacher? How do you find the person who's going to stay with you your whole life? I mean, a lama, a real rebbe, a real spiritual teacher, right? You have to understand what they are. They don't just teach you books, and they don't just teach you meditation. They are your refuge for your life, you see? Everyone is going to have hard times in their life, right? Everyone will face tragedy. Everyone here will have some hard times coming. Everyone, right? Your health will fail. You will lose your family. You will lose your friends. You will lose all the things you work to earn, to own. All these things will be taken away. Jesus called it rust, right? Hard times are coming to everyone. You need a teacher not just to teach you. They are your only hope for your whole life. You see? And then, whenever you need anything, whenever you are, you have to find a teacher now, because you will have trouble later. It's just a 401k guru thing. You have to plan now for times to come. And then a real teacher is like anything you need, they are there. So it's one thing to plan for your retirement, put money aside, but you should plan for your life, right? And your death. Right? You should have someone who will be at your side all the way to the end, and they will take care of you all the way and beyond that. You see? So, how do you find this person? Where do you find them? You must be like that for someone else. You must help other people. You must be a refuge for the people around you. Unwavering refuge. You must be available for anyone who has trouble and pain and needs you. Right? You don't have to know 3,000 pages of Buddhist philosophy. You don't have to memorize the New Testament Greek. It's good, but can you commit to 2 or 3 people in your life to be there for them for their whole life, and to serve them and to help them and to be there as their refuge? Can you make a commitment to that in your mind, in your heart? That karma will make a teacher knock on your door. that karma will bring a teacher to you. That's the only way to find a teacher. See? That's the only way to create a teacher. Why are we talking about that? This is supposed to be a partner talk. We're supposed to be talking about spiritual partners. There's this really cool thing, okay? In the highest teachings of Buddhism, and I think married nuns, who underwent 7 nervous breakdowns, and Jesus took care of her, right? I mean, it's in the New Testament, right? Who's the only person who recognized Jesus at the tomb? He was standing there. Everyone thought he was the gardener, right? Then he says, Mary. He just says, Mary. And she turns around and she says, Master. She's the only person who recognizes him, right? I think he's like his spiritual partner, right? So we say, in the highest teachings of our faith, that your partner can be your ultimate teacher, right? You don't have to go look for some guru. You don't have to look for a lama. You don't have to look for a caller. Those are good things. Those are helpful, right? But in the end, in the highest teachings, your partner, you will find a partner who will be your teacher. See how to do that, how that works, the beauty of it. These are things we need to learn. Maybe Lama Christie can tell us.
Little world.
So, did you guys all get a pamphlet? Yeah, okay. All right, you can read it at home so that you don't get distracted while we're talking. But so, why is our holy partner our ultimate spiritual guide, our ultimate teacher? It's something we have to talk about. I asked some people recently this question: why is your spiritual partner your ultimate teacher? Because they know how to make me angry better than anyone else. Because they know just which button to press, to make me totally insane for about 2 hours, and it really helps me try and control my mind. As a Buddhist practitioner, I need them. I was like, yeah, that's a good reason. But that's not the ultimate reason. That's not the ultimate reason, hopefully. We have all these stories of these saints, we have stories of Lord Buddha's life, we have stories of Jetsun Papa's life, we have stories of someone named Naropa, who is the founder of yoga in the Tibetan Buddhist tradition. And all of their lives are pretty much the same. They start out in a normal life. They're growing up in a normal household, and they're expected by their parents to go and take after taking their shoes. Lord Buddha was a prince, and he was married with 2 kids, and he was supposed to take over the kingdom. And Jetsun Kapa, he left home at age 15 because he was running away from that. And Master Naropa, he was similar. His parents convinced him to marry. He was also a prince. He was also going to take over the kingdom. And at a certain point, they were like, this life is not for me. I want to be a spiritual practitioner. I don't want all these distractions of family life, of government life. I need to go to a monastery. I need to go dedicate myself to wisdom completely. I need to find my teacher. So they all left. They all left their normal life. And they traveled around searching for their spiritual guide and their heart teacher, right? You have to find your heart teacher. You have to find, the one being in your life that's going to bring you to your ultimate goal, your ultimate spiritual goal, your ultimate evolution as a person, which we say is enlightenment. We talked about it yesterday, right? And so they're searching, and they're finding
this teaching and that teaching and the other teaching, and they spend 10, 20, maybe 30 years studying the ancient books by themselves in the tradition, the monastic tradition. And then at some point in each of these holy sages' lives, their teachers come up and tell them, now you have to go find a partner. Now you have to go find your heart teacher. Your partner will be your heart teacher. Why? Because your partner is the one that's going to take you all the way to the end, to enlightenment itself. In the final stages of your spiritual progress, you are working very hard, you are meditating very deeply on emptiness, you are working on your inner body, the channels and chakras and the prana inside of you, and you're honing yourself and you're perfecting yourself. But in the very final moments, before you switch from a being of flesh and bone that has to die into a being of light, into that glorious angel enlightened being that never has to die, that can work to save everybody else, the final moments will be in the arms of your partner. They will take you to enlightenment. They will make you whole. And, it's really funny because we've got this society that kind of, we're not quite sure to believe that. We've got these drives inside of us. And people don't know what to make of these drives. Right? We've got all these longings. We've got, basic desire. We've got desire for food. Then, as a human, we've got desire for sex, and we've got desire for fame or recognition as a person. But deep down, below all of those desires, there's a higher desire. There's a more prevalent desire that is driving us in everything we do. And that is our desire to really love. That is our desire to really reach out and touch another person's soul and help them and save them. Right? That's what we really want to do. Deep down in our hearts, that's what's really going to make us happy. We are living, you guys, some of you are living here in LA. I know a lot of you are not from here because I recognize your faces. But, those of you who are living here, it's like, this is the land of entertainment. I grew up here. There's only so many movies you can go to before you start getting kind of bored. We search for happiness all over the place, We go out to restaurants, we go out to movies, we go out this, that, the other thing. We go surfing. Is it going to make us happy? What makes us happy? What makes us happy as individuals? It's so simple. It's around you everywhere. It's accessible to you at any moment of the day, and you don't even see it. It is our ability to open our hearts to somebody else. That's what makes us happy as humans. When we open our heart to somebody. And our spiritual partner, they can teach us that. Our partner can teach us that. Even if you don't call them a spiritual partner, even if it's just a Joe Schmo partner. You're next to somebody who is constantly chipping away at the walls that you have put up. As humans, we've got all these walls, these defense mechanisms between ourselves and other people. And then you join with somebody else. You join with another person, and they're chipping away at that. They're like, let me in. Just let me in a little bit, Just open your heart to me a little bit. And it's like the very first step to who you will ultimately become. Because, in your ultimate evolution, your heart is wide open. And you are madly in love with every single being that you see. Like we talked about it yesterday, you're walking down the promenade and every single face you see, you're like, I love you. How can I help you? How can I help you get to the ultimate goal? That's how it would be, And, you try and imagine it, and it's so hard. It's so hard to imagine because we're so unused to opening our hearts to people. But if you think about, we've got a lot of mothers here. You think about a mother after their child has been born, their firstborn child. And you think about how their needs are just totally placed second to the child. Like, everything the child needs, if the child starts to cry, they're there in a moment. Or as the child gets older, if the child skins its knee, it's like the mother herself has skinned their knee. She's crying before the child is crying, you know? I mean, they have totally opened their heart to this other person, so it's not as even if they're separate. It's like they're one person in two different bodies. And they, you know, moms know instinctively how to open their hearts. And you look at the radiance on a new mother's face, and they don't get any sleep. They get woken up every 3-4 hours. It's crazy. And yet they're so happy. They're so happy. They're just beaming with joy. And you're like, my God, how are you so happy? I am so grumpy when I don't get sleep. But something else is feeding them. It's that love. It's that love for another person. So imagine that love for everyone. You know? Imagine your heart open, you know, as a mother to their only child, but for everyone. Your feet wouldn't even touch the ground when you walk down the promenade, you know? Like, you would just be so happy. And that's the kind of thing that a partner can teach you how to do, you know? Your partner teaches you how to open your heart to another person. And children too. Children teach you how to open your heart to another person. And it furthers us along on our spiritual evolution. But there's something even deeper and more subtle, which is why we're talking about this when we're talking about yoga. Because in the Tibetan tradition, yoga is not so much about the physical postures and poses. They do have that. But it's more about the inner body and about the inner energies within the body. They say that every single being is born with a certain amount of male energy and female energy within them. You know, you can call it yin and yang if you want. But everybody has it. But if you are born a woman or female, you've got more yin energy. If you're born a male, you've got more yang energy. And so your energies are out of balance. Our energies are out of balance. We are not whole beings. And that longing to find a partner that everybody has deep inside of them is a longing deep inside of us to balance those energies out within us. A longing to be whole. A longing to find our other half. It's like we're searching for the missing puzzle piece that can make us a whole being. And is that person out there? Geshe Michael just talked about it. You know, the Tibetan tradition, we would say, yes, of course, this person's out there. You have projected a dream, you know. This life, like we talked about last night, is like, you know, just like a dream. And you're projecting yourself inside of a dream where you are an incomplete being, searching for your other half. And then you project, when you are ready for this highest teaching, when you are ready, you project the partner that's your other half to come and take you the rest of the way towards your enlightenment. And that's the way it always goes. And that's the way it went with Naropa, that's the way it went with Tsongkhapa, that's the way it went with Lord Buddha. It is your ultimate path, right? So, you know, all those movies that you've ever seen where, you know, it ends up that the guy and the girl get together finally and they live happily ever after, that is a seed in your mind for what's going to happen ultimately to you, your ultimate goal. You know, there's a reason why every single movie you see ends up like that. It's very interesting, in the final moments of your, right before your enlightenment, you are two beings coming together. And then you get enlightened and you become one. You become one. There's a specific angel, and in India they call the angel Avalokiteshvara. Right? And it's a male. And in China they call it Kuan Yin, and it's female. It's the same angel. The thing about holy beings is that they are neither male or female, they're both. Because they are a whole being. They are one complete, perfect whole. And that is what we are searching for. And that is where our partner can take us to. Right? And that's why your partner is your ultimate guru.
I get to do one called, I think it's called Sing and Dance sometimes. Sing sometimes, dance sometimes. And in the center at the top, you have Nijinsky dancing for the Russian ballet. Right around the middle, you have Jimi Hendrix playing Budokan. And he's stuck in there. I was in the monastery. I spent many years there, and one year they said, I used to commute to India. So they said, they came and they said to my room, they said, it's Yarmay, we have to go to Yarmay. We're going to do Yarmay. So Yar means summer, May means retreat. So Yarmay means, we have to do summer retreat. I said, what summer retreat? They said 3 months in the summer, like June, July, August. Traditionally, the monks stay in the monastery and they don't go out. And they do a 3-month retreat. So I said, why in the summer? They said, because summer is when it's hot. And many insects, like grasshoppers and small creatures, are more in the grass. So if you walk across the grass in summer, you kill more bees. So traditionally, monks would spend the 3 months of summer staying in their own hut and not walking on the grass because it would kill more bees, you see? So this is Yarmay. So you spend 3 months in reflection. You don't go out. You don't leave the monastery. Right? So I said, okay, let's go to Yarmay. So you go to the main temple, which is maybe twice as big as this, in our monastery. And in our monastery at the time, there were about 1,300 monks. And you have to vote on Yarmay. You know, are we going to do Yarmay? It's always unanimous. But they go through this like 8-hour ceremony, which is very typical in the monastery. And everybody gets a stick. So the Giku, which is the debate master and the disciplinarian, he gives everybody a stick. It's about the size of a Nathan's hot dog or something. And they come around with these sticks, and every monk gets a stick. You know, so you're holding your stick. That takes an hour. You know, and then they come around with these trays, and they said, anyone who votes for Yarmay, you put your stick on the tray, and everyone puts their stick on the tray. That takes another hour, and it's like 100 degrees, right? This is South India, and then they go to the middle of the temple, and the vice abbot takes each stick off the tray and says, 1 vote for Yarmay. 2 votes for Yarmay. You know? And then 1,300 sticks later, they both did have Yarmay. That's right. And, you know, we stayed for 3 months, very quiet. We didn't go out of the monastery. We didn't even go for groceries. Other people buy their stuff. And then one day everybody bursts in. They say, oh, today is Geshe. You know? I'm like, what's Geshe? Geshe means everything is stopped, it's shut down. Ye means open. Gaye means end of the summer retreat. So do we have to have a vote for this? So no, Gaye is on the ground. So we have Gaye, and in our monastery, like you're not allowed to see movies. You're never allowed to see movies, right? So we're out in the middle of a forest in South India, and we're about, I don't know, we're like 20 miles from the nearest town, right? And, it takes a long time to walk there. Or sometimes you get a tuk-tuk, a little auto rickshaw, and you can go to town, right? And then there's places that sell illegal alcohol, and in the back they show videos, right? So all the young ones know this. And you're not supposed to ever see a movie, right? If you get caught seeing a movie, you have to stand up here in front of the whole monastery, all the monks. There's a poster like that of an old Indian movie called Hum Dono. And you have to hold it up like this for 4 hours. And you can't put your arms down. You have to hold the poster up for 4 hours. And then everybody laughs at you and makes fun of you and pokes your nose and stuff. And you can't move, right? So that's not punishment for seeing a movie, right? You're also not allowed to listen to music. You would never be allowed to dance. You could never play games. Like that. So, but Gaye, for 2 weeks, it's all off. You can do anything you want. For 2 weeks, you can do anything. So I'm walking out the first day of Gaye. I've never been in Gaye before. There's CD players everywhere. Every room has a CD player blasting rock and roll, And I'm like, where did these CD players come from? They're like, well, they just show up in Gaye. Walking around, it's like a whole new place, and there's kids in their underwear playing soccer down the streets of the monastery because their robes are getting away. So you just dump your robe and you're running up and down your underwear playing soccer. And I'm like stunned, and I'm walking around and I walk into this room and I hear this click, click, click. And this one I know, this is Karim. I don't know if you know Karim. Karim is like billiards. But you play it with your fingers, right? And Tibetans love it, but it's illegal in the monastery. Everyone has a Karim board something. And then I walk into this room and the abbot is there. Well, it's not vineyard. He's a very strict abbot, very tough, very mean abbot, He's sitting there and all these kids playing Kareem. And I'm like, Ken Remington, what are you doing? I'm playing Kareem, it's dying, get out of here. And then I said, there's this famous saying, I said, what about Chula Meshona Karinche. Chula Meshona means, if water catches fire, what the hell are we going to do? How are you going to put the fires out if water catches fire? If the abbot is playing Kareem, what's happening to the monastery? Then I went to my room. There's my thing. He's like, let's go to a movie, I'm like, what? Let's go to a movie, And I'm like, is there like Gandhi playing or something? I'm like, no, peacefully. He says, who wants to look at something spiritual during Gaye? You need, car chases and shooting people and stuff like that. This is Gaye. And it's a beautiful custom, It's people have to let go. Spiritual people have to let go. Have your spiritual relationship with your partner, Meditate together, do good works together, talk deeply about the emptiness of your partner and how to change the things that irritate you about your partner. Psychoanalyze each other endlessly. But then, sometimes just go have some fun. Just let go. And this is, I think, a principle in any religion. Any great religion has its fun time, And in the monastery, Gaye, you let it out for 2 weeks of your diet, then you get bored of Korean and all that stuff, and you want to study again. So I think to have fun is important. Now, in a Buddhist monastery, of course, they won't let you have fun, just have fun. Something else will happen. You see it here. In the bottom left-hand corner, Jetsu Kappa is learning sacred dance. Okay? So during Gaye, we do sacred dance. They pull you into a temple, and they say, they have all these wigs there, ladies' wigs. You're like, what's that? They say, put it on. You're like, I'm a monk, I can't do that. They say, no, put it on. And you put on this wig. You can see in the middle, in the black and white, that's a photo that was taken by a U.S. Army mission to Tibet during World War II. And they snuck into a temple and they took a picture during the ceremony. I don't know how they got in. But the monks are all dressed in their wigs, and they are wearing ladies' robes. And they're going to start their sacred dance. So, like during Gaye, and in special times in the year, a monk is required to dress up like, I don't know, she said Kate, what's her name? Winslet. So why? Why do they do that? And I think that's important to understand. When you're having fun, how can you make that spiritual with your partner, right? Like sometimes we were in Tokyo, we talked, we did Japan, we did China, Beijing, Dalian, Guangzhou, Hong Kong. We were tired of all this Chinese food. And then we got to Tokyo and we just all went to a club and we danced all night. So, but what do you do? How should you dance all night? And when a monk dresses like Kate Winslet, what's the point? What are you doing? There's a beautiful practice called use the result as a path. Use the goal as a path. So when you get enlightened, the day you get enlightened, your body will change into light. Your body will be shining with crimson light. You're not made of blood and flesh anymore. You are made of light. This is the end, the last day. On the last day, you will be made of light. Your evolution is fixed. Every human being will become every living being on this planet, down to bacteria, they will become enlightened. They will have bodies of light. It's fixed. It will happen. It's just a matter of time. Right? This is a mistake. The flesh is a mistake. The light is inevitable. Right? So, in recognition of that, you go to the church, you put on Kate Winslet's hair, you put on some robe, beautiful silk robe, and you dance. All the monks are dancing. This beautiful dance of an angel. You see, monks have visions of angels and how they dance. And then they went and taught the other monks how to dance like an angel. You see? So you dress like an angel. And then you dance like an angel for all night. You see? And you just pretend you're already there. You see? For 4 or 5 hours, you pretend, I'm already there. I'm already made of light. You see? And then you just dance. You see? It's a very, very beautiful custom. And I think it's also a way to have fun and make it spiritual. You see? So we're encouraging you to go to a club. And seriously. And pretend you're already there. Pretend when you open the door, it's the door to heaven. Right? Pretend when you step inside, you're in heaven. And what do they do in heaven? They dance. They dance. What else? Right? And you just go in that club and you dance. And you dance as if you are saving the world with the dance, you see? Because when an angel dances, thousands of bodies are thrown off at the same time. Every time they move an arm, 1,000 bodies are thrown off. And they go to other worlds and they teach people and they help people. It's a beautiful thing. When an angel dances, bodies are pouring out of them to other worlds to help people. It's very beautiful custom. So sometimes do that, You can do it in your house, move the furniture a little bit, take a ballet class, and pretend you're already there. And this is a beautiful thing that you can do with your partner. You can do it tonight, you can do it Saturday, right? You can do things like this with your partner, and then it's not like studying some sacred text or meditating for 3 hours or going on a long retreat together. You go to a club, You say, when we step inside the door, we're already done. And you practice what it would feel like. And then that makes it happen. Get it? Pretending you're there makes it happen. Maybe. You see? It's a very beautiful practice. So have some fun with your practice. And make it a very high spiritual practice at the same time. Okay? I'm not taking you to that.
So, I'm going to talk a little bit about the painting for a minute. We haven't really covered much about the painting, but this is, there's a couple of really beautiful, beautiful images in this particular panel. I don't know, I think it's over there, which is kind of convenient for you in the back, because you in the back can probably not see it up here. But in this sort of area here, this is a modern rendition that one of our students in New York painted of one of the traditional paintings, where in the life of Jetsun Kappa, that he was going to meet a famous Lama named Kenshin. And this is after Jetsun Kappa has gotten very well known, and he has been traveling and teaching, and still he's got the humility to search out and find lamas who know what he doesn't know, right? And go to them and, ask them humbly to teach him, right? And it's a very beautiful example for us. So he's walking down the road, and Kenshin has heard that Jetsun Kappa is coming, and he's amazed because he really respects Jetsun Kappa. And so he goes out to meet him on the road as a gesture of respect, and then something really miraculous happens. When Kenshin looks at Jetsun Kappa, he sees the angel Manjushri. Like, he just sees Jetsun Kappa as an embodiment of the angels, glowing with golden light, and he can't believe his eyes. He's like, oh my God, Manjushri himself has come to my house. And then when Jetsun Kappa looks at Kenshin, he sees a different deity. He sees someone named, it's called Guyapati in Sanskrit, and it means the Lord of Secrets. And he's like, oh my God, I've just met the Lord of Secrets. And they're staring at each other, and each of them is seeing the other person as a holy divine being. Right? It's beautiful. It's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful scene of his life. So, what actually happened? Like, is Kenshin the Lord of Secrets? Is Jetsun Kappa really Manjushri? What do you think? I know all of you who already know the answer. No, what do you think, really? Yeah? Really? Let's go back to the aspirin. Do you remember last night we were talking about the aspirin and its power to cure headaches, right? And we said that sometimes you take an aspirin and it cures your headache. Geshe Michael always takes chocolate chip cookies, actually. Sometimes you take a chocolate chip cookie and it works and it cures your headache. Sometimes you take a chocolate chip cookie and it doesn't work at all.
So you need more chocolate.
Sometimes you're just trying to swindle your cookies into giving you more cookies, but this is beside the point. Let's just stick with the aspirin. So, aspirin, because sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, we can say that aspirin does not in itself cure a headache. It doesn't have a power in itself. There is no power, there is no substance in aspirin that cures headaches. Because if that substance cured a headache, it would always cure your headache. You see, if something is a cause, it always has to be a cause. So what that means is that the aspirin has no power of its own. Aspirin is not really aspirin. in and of itself. If you take a little, we use chewables, so it's orange. If you take a little orange pill and you chew it, and it gets rid of your headache, then yeah, you have just taken an aspirin. If you take a little orange pill and you chew it and it doesn't get rid of your headache, then what you can even call it, right? You can say aspirin is not even aspirin in and of itself. So, what makes aspirin aspirin? What gives aspirin the power to cure your headache? It's coming from you. The power to cure the headache. It's like you are projecting the power to cure the headache. You are loading the aspirin with power. In and of itself, the aspirin is empty of any nature of its own. It could just be a little orange chewable candy, right? If you don't have the seeds to see it as an aspirin that cures your headache, it will not. Because aspirin doesn't cure headaches. You cure headaches. How? I know a lot of you were here yesterday because I recognize your faces. you gotta remember. How do you cure how do you cure your own headaches? You help somebody else's headache, right? You help someone else who has a headache. You give them an aspirin. It's true. You take care of someone else's headache, or you give them like a really nice head massage that, hit all the crucial points. I can tell you like the little crucial points here. And then, when you're holding the little orange pill in your hand, you will have loaded it. And when you take it, it will work and it will cure your headache. And that's how the entire world works. Nothing has any nature of its own. Nothing is anything in and of itself. We are the ones that make this a pen. We are the ones that make that an aspirin, or we don't make it an aspirin. Right? So, what does this have to do with Kenshin and Geshe? People around us are exactly the same as the aspirin. People around us are exactly the same as the pen, or the blazing sword of wisdom, as we said yesterday, or the tutor, whatever level of reality you would like to be on. You can see people as normal. Like, right now you're living in a human realm, and so, if you are who you seem to be, and so most of your projections will be of normal human people walking around. Like when you meet somebody, you see them as a human, right? Are they a human? There's no way of knowing, unless you can read their minds. They are as empty as the aspirin. They are as empty as the aspirin. If you worked hard enough to balance out the inner elements in your body, those inner energies that we talked about earlier, if you worked hard enough to open your heart, and your heart chakra was starting to crack open just a little bit, and you were starting to transcend the human realm, you would start to see everybody around you as someone special. And would they be? They would work just as well as the aspirin. They would be a divine being for you. And they would be able to teach you as an enlightened being. Because that was what you were projecting. And that's the only way things work. That's the only way pens write, is because we project it as a pen. And because we project it as a pen, we can use it to write. And because we project it as an aspirin, we can use it to cure our headache. And because we project a being as an enlightened being, we can use them to take us to enlightenment. So, if your karma is good enough, and you've opened your heart well enough, like Jetsun Papa was an incredible being, he's going to meet people on the street like that all the time. He's going to stumble across holy enlightened beings, like in the grocery store. Really. And they will be for him. And they will give him profound advices. and they will take him much further on the path. Because they're not just a normal checkout girl. And they're not an enlightened being in and of themselves. Right? So, now that we know this, wouldn't it be much more fun if we could live in a world full of enlightened beings that were guiding us every step of the way? Like every time we meet somebody new, we think, wow, I've met another holy being who's just given me a blessing. You know? How do we do that? We start with our partner. We start with somebody who's very, very close to us. And this is a very serious, beautiful, high practice in the Tibetan Buddhist teachings. You know, you take one person and you say, I am going to purposely plant the seeds in my heart so that my mind can change and I can see them start to transform into a divine being that can lead me to heaven. And you do it consciously. And you do it purposely. And it's, you know, so how do we do it? Are you ready? Do you want to do it? I'm getting a lot of yeses. I'm not going to tell you unless you want to do it. I mean, you're wasting breath. You want to? Yeah. I'm just making sure. All right. So, this is called tape nelder. Say tape. Nelder. It's the yoga of make-believe, right? Because what happens is, first, it's kind of pretend. You know? At first, it's like, hey, you look like a normal person, but, you know, I just heard that talk the other day at the Holy Nativity Church, and I'm going to try it, you know, just to see how it goes. Maybe I'll give it a couple months, and if it doesn't work, I'll forget it. You know, so at first you're like, I don't see any kind of halo around your head or anything, but we'll try. So, but then the power of planting the seed to try and see them as a holy divine being that was sent to you from heaven to get you to heaven is that they start to become that. They start to become that for you more and more. Because they are empty. Because they are just like the pen. Because they are just like the aspirin. They have no nature of their own. They have no nature. So, what do? Alright, you start by doing something called spiritual revisionism. You go back to like, from the very first moment you met. And you're like, yeah, I was at that Buddhist talk and they sat down right next to me and it was just when I was thinking about saving the world and loving all beings and I think it was a message. That they sat down next to me right at that moment. And you start to relive how they came to you. Like, it wasn't an accident. It wasn't an accident that you first met each other. And then you go from there and you start to have this suspicion about moments that you've had together where maybe they have helped you or guided you. Or maybe they said something extraordinary that just totally changed the direction that you were going in life. And you try and figure out, like, where has this person been leading me? From the moment I met them till now, how have they been guiding me? And you just sit down in a quiet moment in a coffee shop or whatever, well, at the beach is perfect. You know, you're looking at the waves and you're thinking, who are you really? You know, think about your partner. Who are you really? And how did I not notice all these tricky things that you did to get me here? So then, when you're with them, so that's the first one, right? Spiritual revisionism. And when you're with them, you have to be incredibly suspicious about everything they do. In a good way. I mean, in a good way. You don't take anything that they do or say at face value. You know, you're like driving down the street and they're navigating and they tell you to get off at the wrong exit on the highway. And instead of saying, no honey, I think that's the wrong exit, you stop and you're like, maybe there's something special at that exit that I need to see right now. Maybe they're guiding me somewhere. And you just trust it. You're like, take me there. Like you just suspend your disbelief for a moment. If you can do this just for like 1 minute every day, with one thing that they do, it will plant incredible seeds in your mind. Just like one thing that you normally would have said is just normal behavior. Just stop and say, no, they're taking me somewhere. They're leading me somewhere. They want me to go with them somewhere. And just follow. It plants incredible, powerful seeds to get them to lead you to heaven. To give them the power to lead you to heaven. So that's the second thing. Don't take anything they do or say at face value. Right? And there are people in the audience like smiling at their partners now like, oh, I should have turned when you told me to. Next time. Then, last one is just sort of a basic principle. Just surrender. You know, just surrender to them. So like, I'm the child, and you are the holy angel, and I will follow whatever you say, and whatever you do, and I just lay my head in your lap, and please guide me. And it's more of an internal thing. So then, you know, at the beginning it seems a little bit forced, but you start to become more and more practiced at this view, and then your relationship starts to change. You know, they start to become more and more like a mama to you, like a teacher. Like they're your partner and they're your friend, and you know they're just as close or getting closer than they were before, but they've taken on this new role in your life as your spiritual God as well. And you know what? You don't even have to tell them you're doing this. In fact, I think sometimes it's better not to. You know, you just do it inside your own heart, and you let them guide you, and you let them lead you, and you surrender to them. And you listen for their messages. And then, you know, one day you're just, you know, standing outside your garden lawn or something, and they start to walk towards you, and you see them glowing with light. You know, and everything shifts for a moment, and you're like in their heaven. Everything is glowing with light, and it's coming from them. And you're like, oh my God, wow, you really are a human being. But you have to go back, and you're like, not really, you're just like the pen. But it's but you're appearing to me like this holy being, and oh my God, I did it. You know, you can pat yourself on the back because you created them. And then once you get to the level where they become this holy and mighty angel for you, at least they're, you know, they shift every few, you know, for a few moments you can see them. For a few moments you can see their angelness. Then they shift back to normal. But once you get to that point where they're starting to shift, where you start to see the glimpses of them leading you, then they are able to take you so far and so deep on your spiritual path. You know, they're able to reach inside of you and really move the inner energies within you so that you become more balanced. They are able to reach inside of you and open your heart. They are able to reach inside of you and teach you deeper and deeper understanding of emptiness. And especially the emptiness of yourself. Because what they will come and teach you is that you are exactly the same as them. You are exactly the same as that pen or that aspirin or as your partner. You also have no nature of your own. You also could be, at any moment, just a shift in your perceptions, and you could change from a being of flesh and blood to a being of total light that's saving the universe. It's because you're also empty. And that's what they will come and teach you. And that's how they will come and bring you to your ultimate evolution. Because they will teach you that you are there already. It's just a simple shift in your mind. It's just as simple as planting the right seeds in your heart. To get yourself to see yourself as you see them. Can you imagine it? I mean, just for a moment, can you imagine your perception of yourself shifts? And suddenly you're already a holy enlightened being who can touch the hearts of every living being at once. So you have to ask your partner to bring you there, okay?
We're going to take a break. A few things before the break. During the break, we'll have a break sale going on. Every year we send 10 or 20 young people to Tibet Monastery to study for a few months. They come back and they do stuff like this. You know? So you can imagine if this kind of thing were happening in many churches tonight. That's kind of what we're trying to plan. And so we send young people to study. They're all broke. We pay for their airfare. We pay for their stuff. So, you know, if you could buy some chocolate chip cookies. Also to buy a chocolate chip cookie for your Rebbe or your teachers. Extraordinary. And then don't give $1, give throw $20 in and buy one cookie, something like that. When times get hard, right? When the economy is bad, then spiritual people crank up their giving because that fixes the economy. Okay? The karma for a bad economy is that we have not given enough to others. The way to cure the bad economy is to crank up our generosity. So a person who understands where things are coming from, in hard times like now, they like leave a $50 tip for the workers and they leave the rest of it. You know? And it's an act of knowledge, right? You're fixing the economy. So don't get scared when the economy is bad. Get brave, you know? And get noble, get bold, and just give everything you have, you know, in hard times. Don't try to protect your money. Release your money during hard times. And then you won't have hard times. And you won't see hard times. It's a very beautiful thing. It takes a lot of courage. Okay? So be courageous and buy a cookie for $20. If you're feeling more courageous, buy more. And all the money goes to save an old temple in this old Mongolian. If you're feeling really courageous, then buy 2 books and give one away. Okay? So we have a list of teachers, like great teachers like His Holiness and other teachers. We have a list back there. And we've been asking people to try to buy 2 books and we'll mail one to anyone we want. And we'll mail one to one of these teachers. So there's a list of teachers there in the world. And if it has a red dot, it means someone already took them. So you can't take them. This one is got red dotted first. Okay? And so try to buy a book if you can. Yeah.
There's books that we'd really like to see books go out to all the people on the list. And there's certain, if anyone does yoga, there are certain yoga masters that haven't gotten a book yet. That would be so nice, I love Anna Forrest, and like all these people who are bringing us so much knowledge, and just to thank them. So
we'll mail the book for you. You just have to buy it, and they will get it. And so think about that. If you'd like to come up and say hi, or if you'd like to ask some question about your own relationship or something like that, please feel free. Short question about relationship. Please feel free during the break to come up and say hi. I need to see Church live. Okay. Yeah. Have a nice day.
I need to see my mom.
Oh, yeah. You have too much sugar. I know. Okay, one more short case each. Mine is Ruby Tree or something. Go away, Ruby Tree.
12.
Number?
12.
So I don't know if you know, but we did a 3-year retreat. Yeah. And it all started in 1410. And you see there's a yogi on the upper right, and below him there's like 9 guys in a boat.
There's the yogi.
It's like George Washington crossing the Delaware, but it's Okapa crossing the Okapa. And he was a big shot by then. He was very famous by then. He had about 10,000 students following him around all the time. Like if you think flying is a pain in the but he was very famous, and this angel came to him, that Geshe, and the angel said, time to go into a long retreat. You should do a long retreat now. And he's like, well, I'm really busy. My schedule's all full for the fall. I'm teaching in Hasa, then I'm going to Shigatse, and I got an award from the Prince of Kukum, and I don't know if I have time to do a retreat. I'm really helping a lot of people. And my teacher says, shut up, go on a retreat. So he said, you can take some students with you. He says, how many? Like 500, 300? He says, 8. They're called Yambak Ge. Yambak Ge means the purest 8. He had to choose 8 disciples to go to a long retreat. So what you see in the boat is 8 disciples and Jetsu Kappa. Jetsu Kappa is the one with the halo, in case you didn't guess. And for us, retreat is always difficult. We do 2 retreats a year. We do 2 months twice a year. And oftentimes we try to go to a country that the U.S. is having trouble with. So there's lots of them. And, so recently we went to China. We spent 2 months in a farmhouse in West China among the poor people. And they were very suspicious of Americans. And so it was we worked very hard there. It was a hard retreat, but I think we changed one village. Then last summer we wanted to work with Arab people and learn a little about Islam. So we went to an Islamic village in Morocco and studied Quran in Arabic with them. And there's this thing I've noticed. I think we've done now, I don't know. I think we've been in retreat together for about 6 years total. And something always happens just before we go to retreat. Like, I don't know, I think 3 days before retreat, we have a huge fight. Like, we always have a huge fight, just before retreat, like, really, Tuesday nail fight, And, so then I was wondering, like, we had it again in December, we started a retreat, and I'm like, what is this? Why do we always, what? It always happens, why does this happen? What is it? And I think it's that, it's nervousness about having to face your own mind. You see? It's like some kind of deep-rooted fear about really having to spend 2 months with yourself, and see just who you are and what your mind is made of, And it's very difficult, even to do a weekend, you see, even just to put down your cell phone and put down your laptop and not talk to anyone and not buy anything, you see, for a weekend. And then everything you depend on to define who you are, your job, your family, your TV shows, the books you read, everything about you, you lose in a retreat. There's nothing left to tell you who you are. It's just who you are. See, everything is stripped away during a retreat. In our long retreat, we even we agreed not to use our names. Everyone was given a symbol. And you could write notes for groceries or something, you have to just put your symbol. So, who are you when you take away your name? Who are you when you take away your home and your family and your job and your favorite shows? Who's left after that? See? And that's what retreat's all about. It's very beautiful in my lifetime, right? In my own lifetime. I've had the joy and the honor to watch American society change, right? Western society has changed. When I started my Lama, 1974, all my college friends told me I was crazy. Like, universally, they told me I was crazy. They all went to law school. And they told me I was crazy. I'm going to this slum in New Jersey to stay with this old Tibetan Lama, and they told me I'd go crazy. You're just crazy. Now they're all writing me, help. I need help. To teach me what's going on in life. Tell me why I'm here, what I'm doing. You see, and I think in my lifetime I've watched Americans have started to meditate. Right? Like, it used to be a big deal. You say I had a job. I had a corporate job in New York for 15 years, right? And in the early years, people would say, "What do you enjoy doing?" And the first few times I said, "I like to meditate," and then they don't even talk to you after that. I was like, "This is kind of weird. You're in a cult, or you're doing what do they call it, TM or something? Like, you're just weird, And now you say I'm meditating, and they say, "Well, so am I." Like we just met this very successful businessman. He just sold his business for $50 million. He's very cool. His mind is very nice. And we asked him. We said, we don't know him. When we first met him, we said, "How did you do this? How did you succeed in your business?" He said, "I meditate every day." Some crazy guy in 1972 taught me to do a 15-minute meditation every day, and I never stopped. 30 years later, I'm still doing it. Every day. We said, "Did you ever tell anybody?" He said, "No." Everybody would say I was crazy. But he attributes his business to that. So I think in America, meditation is now, people understand this can help you with everything. And then general spiritual study. More people are studying spiritual things. Yoga. I think when we started yoga, it was like, I don't know. It was also a weirdo thing to do. It was a new age thing to do. Now we go, God, we went today to Yoga Works, right? Montana Avenue, right? On a Saturday. You can't get in. You can't get in. It's inch to inch, The mats are touching each other. They crammed 54 people into a small room. I counted, And they're like, there must be some kind of fire hazard or something. And these California yogis, they are buff. Everyone is like doing handstands and flips and everything. And you're like, my God, there's 50 million people doing yoga now. So things have changed, right? We have Americans have attacked the spiritual arts of Asia with a passion. And I'll tell you something. The yoga in Santa Monica Yoga Works is better than Serenade Tibetan Monastery. It's at a higher level. The people are more serious, more dedicated, and they're better at it. And the meditation, the worst place to meditate in the world is a Tibetan monastery. It's noisy, everyone's, running around, screaming, there's not a quiet place in a whole monastery. You have to go out in the cornfields to meditate. And so, really, Americans have mastered this spiritual art of meditation. You're quite good at it, and you don't even realize it. You're probably better than a lot of Tibetan monks. The people who have studied the ACI courses at Mount Sukha Center or places like that, there are hundreds of Americans whose level is already higher than all the Tibetan monks I know. You see? It's like something extraordinary is happening in our country. We are well educated, we are fluent, we have time to do spiritual things, we're interested in it, we respect other spiritual paths. We're not killing all the Protestants or the Catholics in this country. For the first time in history, there's a very affluent, well-educated, well-motivated, and open and free society, which is jumping on all these spiritual arts. And you're good at it. You're really good at it. You don't know how good you are. You're good at it. Now the last frontier. You see? The last frontier, the thing you're not good at yet. The thing we should attack now is retreat. The art of retreat. We have friends, they said, oh, we saw your 3-year retreat, that was so cool. We bought a house in Woodstock. We're doing a retreat there next weekend, We said, well, what are you going to do exactly? Well, we're going to turn off the phone and the internet. Yeah, but what are you going to do in the retreat? Well, we're just going to, And in Tibet, it's very beautiful. There are many, many books written about how to do a retreat, and there's a very serious training. When we did the 3-year retreat, we were trained for 3 years before that. We got training for 3 years on what to do during the 3-year retreat. See? So, this is the last great spiritual frontier for Westerners. I think it's a very exciting chance for us. I think we have to be like Tsongkhapa, right? He's a busy guy. He's a very successful Dharma businessman. He's got 10,000 students following him around. And then Manjushri says, time to go on retreat. He keeps saying, well, could I delay it? Or I'm doing all this good work. He says, teaching is not really developing yourself. You see? Teaching or talking, like what we do, you can talk for years and still have all these negativities deep in your heart. Because you're just telling other people what to do. You see? It's a very dangerous occupation. And so Manjushri says, time to shut up, Tsongkhapa. Time to go and retreat by yourself. And work on your own heart. So he goes. After like a year, he calls Manjushri. How does he call Manjushri? He does some special mantras, Manjushri comes. And Tsongkhapa's like, okay, anyone who's ever done retreat knows this story. Tsongkhapa's like, oh God, I've been in retreat for a year. Yeah. And my mind got all quiet, Yeah. And all the TV shows and movies and radio songs, they all went away. Yeah. And I could hear the total silence of reality. Yeah. Yeah. And then I decided I must break retreat to go teach the other people. And Manjushri says, He says, everybody thinks that after like a week of retreat, 2 weeks of retreat. They think, oh, now I reached some high level, it's time for me I should break the retreat early and go teach people. And Manjushri says, shut up. go back in the retreat hut. You got another year to go. And he doesn't want to. You see, even so Papa, even the teacher of the first dialogue, even this high being, he wants to get out of retreat. In retreat, he's always thinking about being out of retreat. When we, the last thing my Lama ever said to me, the last words he ever spoke to me, right? He's passed now, he's gone. Right? We went to his room. We said, please give us advice for the three retreat. He said the last words he ever said. He said, keep your mind in the hut. Keep your mind in the retreat hut. And then he said, go. We were expecting like 2 hours of advice or something. And that was it. That was all. So I think, what happens in a retreat? See? We're afraid to leave our family. We're afraid to leave our jobs. We're afraid to leave what is comfortable for us. We are afraid to be quiet for that long. We are afraid to leave books and movies and TVs and cell phones and the Google. We're deep down, we're afraid to leave it. So, what's the use of retreat? Why do it? What do you expect? Is it just that your mind gets more quiet? See? Is it just that you come out more quiet? And so I'll teach you the most important thing about retreat. This is, you can study how to do retreat for years, but here's the most important thing. Okay? We've been saying all along in these 2 days that the power in an aspirin does not come from the chemicals in the aspirin. You see? There's nothing in the aspirin that can help your headache. Nothing. You can put chalk in the aspirin. You can put rocks in the aspirin. Anything. It doesn't matter. It doesn't work. The chemicals don't. Why do you think every headache remedy claims to be the one? Why do you think every single pill maker says, this is the one? Why? Because none of them are. Right? Why does every advertisement say, this is the one that cures headache? Why isn't there just one kind of aspirin that works for everybody? Why are there all these different brands? It's because they don't work. Okay? There's nothing in an aspirin that can do anything for your headache. Nothing. So what gives aspirin the power to help you? When you take an aspirin, which we do, okay? Like we have 4 or 5 bottles around it. When people come over, we hike them. We have 7, we have aspirin, she says, so people are coming over. So I said, okay, what? She said, hike all the good bottles, But we're supposed to be like high meditation teachers. We're not supposed to know and hide something. So they are, and so when an aspirin does help your headache, why? Because it was loaded with a certain power. What loaded the aspirin? Nothing you can see. There's nothing you can see, right? You can't see what works in the aspirin. Okay? Well, what works in it? How does it work? You help another person who is in pain. Somewhere during the day, maybe you just let someone drive their car in front of your car on Lincoln, in a rush to get to the church. He said, you go ahead in front of me. You stopped your car and you said, you go ahead. And you took away some pain from this person. They needed to go somewhere. You're in a rush. What's the best thing to do? You're in a rush. You're late for the church. What's the best thing to do? Just stop on Lincoln and let everyone turn left in front of you. Stop on Lincoln, let everybody turn left in front of you. That's the best way to get to the church on time. Get it? You took away someone's pain. Briefly, a tiny pain. They have to go to a birthday party, or they're late for a date, or they got to go to a yoga class, and you let them go first, and you delayed your own trip to the church. Right? This is a kindness. This is a goodness. This is taking away a small pain from another person. That loaded the aspirin. The next day you have a headache. You open one of the 18 bottles on our table, and you take an aspirin. and the headache goes away. Why? Not because of any chemical in the pill. There's nothing in it. It's because you let someone else turn left on Lincoln in front of you the day before, and you took away some small pain from them. You see, it's a very beautiful thing. Load your aspirin. What's that got to do with retreat? What's that got to do with retreat? You're afraid to leave your family for a week or a month, right? You're afraid to leave your job for a month. You don't want to leave your television for a month, right? Or your laptop or your cell phone. You know? You're afraid you'll miss something, right? Even something very good, like maybe Mahasukha Center is having a month-long program with Lama Maru, and you're going to go into retreat and miss it. Where's that? Why are you doing that? And something weird happens in retreat, right? The motivation to help the world. You know, I'm gonna leave the world for a month. For 1 month, I'm gonna spend all day praying for everyone in the world. For 1 month, I won't even check my emails. You know, I will consciously spend most of the day thinking about helping the world. Right? That puts seeds in your mind. That's like letting the person turn left in front of you. But it's 1,000 times more, right? It's 1,000 times more powerful. And that changes the world. You see? That changes the world. When you come out of retreat, when you walk out the door, you have changed the world. You see? How? By leaving the world. You see? It's very powerful. It's very powerful. How do you get to the church on time? Let other people turn in front of you. Stop and delay your own what you want. Delay what you want. And let someone else have what they want. And you will be at the church on time. And go away from the world for a week or a month. And pray from your heart for the world with no other distractions. And when you come out, the world is changed by your inaction. Got it? By spending the time praying for the world, you change the world because of what? Where does the world come from? Your own mind. The world is coming from your own mind. You see? You make your mind pure, and you perfect the world. In Buddhism, we say heaven is here. We say heaven is in this church. Heaven is right here. We can't see it because we haven't done enough good things to other people. Don't think something's going to change just because you stop breathing. You know, don't think heaven is going to be more available because you stop breathing. Don't wait for the day you die. Heaven is here. But your heart has to be pure to see it. Right? So we believe you can go to heaven here, sitting here tonight. If your heart became pure enough tonight, you would be in heaven. The purity of your own heart would make this place heaven. You see? And no one in this room would have to die again. You see? It's a very beautiful idea. So I think the last thing I'd like to say in LA, right, is think about doing retreat. Think about doing retreat. Even if it's a day, even if it's a weekend, right? The Mahasukha Center has organizing many retreats. They're arranging some beautiful retreat space. And just go and say, you know, let me try it for a day. Or let me try it for 2 days. There's a place called Canyon Ranch near us in Tucson. They charge you $3,000 a day. Rich people go there for a break. You know? What do? They only do 2 things. When you cross onto the property, you have to give up your cell phone and your laptop. You know? And for that, they charge you $3,000. No. It's a good deal. So, think about Tsongkhapa. Think about his divine teacher telling him, the best thing you can do for those who love today is to leave them and go into retreat. Because by doing retreat, you will help them. And you will change their world. You will make their world pure. Like that. Think about it. Now you know how to do yoga, you know how to meditate, you know about Dharma, right? It's the last thing you don't know about. It's how to do a nice retreat. So learn from the teachers, right? They can teach you.
So we get to talk about retreat, and I get to talk about meditating. And that's the last thing we'll do. So, just to do a little bit about the cool panel. Where is this one? In the room. Oh, okay, it's in the back. So, you either have... Ooh, I can do this all the way over here. So... That's so cool! See this little temple here? And then I'll do it over here. This is Geshe sitting in a temple, right? And there he is over there too. So cool. Alright, so this is so powerful. Eventually you'll have rays of light like that going out. But for now. So there's this great story of Geshe. He had like the most amazing power of meditative concentration. And there was this big ceremony in the temple. And I don't know, when we go to Saramay Monastery in India, it's like Geshe said, it's totally crazy. There's like thousands of monks stuffed into this temple, and they're all in lines, and they're all like swaying back and forth like this, and going, oh no. And, like, you don't know what they're saying, but it's gotta be something in Tibetan. And, I mean, I can't even, like, understand Tibetan, I can't even understand it. Cause they're doing this, like, low chanting thing, and they're all, and it's like, you know, tea is being passed forward and back during the ceremony, and people are like spilling tea on each other, and like the big master is actually the disciplinarian, and he's carrying a rosary around, and then anybody who's sleeping, he just whacks on the head. Like, wake up, you know? So all these things are going on in the temple. It's crazy, you know. And you're like, I mean, you do feel like this really intense power there, you know, because the older, more you know, realized beings of the temple. Like, there's lots of little monks, and they're just goofing off. But there's, like, older, more realized monks there, and they're actually meditating, you know? And then you can feel this power emanating from the place, from the temple. It just kind of, like, fills the room. And you walk into the room, you're like, what's going on? I've never been in... You know, it's kind of like, expands your head a little bit, you know, because of the power of this meditation. And so there's a story of Geshe in this crazy, he was in one of those crazy Tibetan Buddhist monasteries where he was sloshing tea on each other, and he went into such a deep state of meditation, they couldn't get him out. Like, he just kind of left the room. You know, he's there, his body is there, but he went in, you know, very, very deep inside of him. And he didn't hear anything anymore. You didn't smell anything anymore, no smell of that Tibetan tea. I don't know if you know, Tibetan tea is like butter and like black tea and butter and God knows what else. Salt, baking powder, it's really bizarre, but you can smell it from pretty far away. And, you know, so he doesn't hear anything, he doesn't smell anything, he doesn't see anything. He goes beyond the realm of the senses that we usually use to interact. Right? And he goes into a state of single-pointed concentration on his object of meditation. He just falls into it, you know, so deeply. And they're worried because 8 hours later, he's still sitting in the same meditative position. Like all the tea has been cleaned up and all the monks have gone home. And there is Geshe still meditating. And they're like, he hasn't eaten. He hasn't slept. What do we do? Should we wake him up? Should we try and get him out of this? You know, and this is like the state of meditation that we want to be able to get in. I mean, we're starting to learn how to meditate in this country. You know, it's being passed down to us. But really, do you think you could sit here in the church with all of this ruckus going on and sit in your pew and just go into a deep state of meditation and then so much that you wouldn't even notice the person next to you? I mean, we're not there yet, you know? We're not there yet. And why do we have to get to this deep place of meditation? Well, I'll talk about that in a minute. All right. Every single great spiritual leap that you will take in your progress on the spiritual path will be in a state of deep meditation like that. You know? They say there are 5 different stages you have to cross in your path to get to the state of an enlightened being. And each one of them will have to be in that deep state of meditation. So it's priceless, you know? It's priceless to get to that deep state of meditative concentration. But there are also many other benefits. They say that concentration is like a food, you know? It's there are different kinds of sustenance in the Tibetan Buddhist text. They say there are 4 different kinds of sustenance. You need sleep, you need food, you need hope, and you need concentration. Right? If you don't get concentration, they think you'll just die, you know, because it's one of the 4 kinds of sustenances that you need to survive. So when you're in a busy state of mind and you're distracted by a bunch of emails all the time and you can't get a single pointed concentrated focus on something that you're doing throughout the day, you're going to start to feel tired. You're going to start to feel worn out because it drains your energy not to be able to focus on a single thing for an extended period of time. So just like a half an hour of meditation a day and you start to get more alive and more rejuvenated as a person, and you can actually function better throughout the day because you've got your food. You've got your concentration food for that day. So, you know, we say it'd be really nice if people could meditate like 15 minutes to half an hour every day before they go to work or whatever they do, right? That it would become a daily practice. Another reason for a daily practice of meditation is we're trying to wrap our minds around something that's really, really hard for us. Like, for the whole time that we have lived on this planet, we have thought that the world exists out here, and that we have to interact with it. And then all of a sudden somebody comes along and says, oh no, the world is being projected from this tiny little drop inside your heart, and you are creating it. And it's a wonderful idea here in this church, and when you walk out 10 minutes later, you're going to forget. Because we are so conditioned, we are so into our old habitual patterns of the way that we think, and the way that we think controls what we do and what we say to other people. You know, and so we're continually in the same cycle. You know, we can't get out of our cycle because we can't get beyond our old way of thinking. So what a daily practice of meditation does is it reconditions. It's like my own process of reconditioning myself. Like, I don't want to think this way anymore. I don't want to think this way about the world. I want to think a different way about the world. I know this is true, but I have all these habitual patterns that keep me in the same cycle. So every single day I'm going to remind myself, I'm going to stop for 30 minutes a day and sit down in a state of meditation, hopefully deep, and I'm going to remind myself how the world really works and how I really want to be as a person and my own goals as a person. Like, I want to be somebody who is saving all living beings. I want to be somebody whose heart is so open that they fall in love with everyone they see in the promenade. You know, and you remind yourself, you know, because if you don't do it daily, you're not going to change. And that's what a daily practice of meditation is. Now, with reference to our partners, because this is technically a partner talk, although he didn't say anything about partners in his last talk. I was like, Geshe Michael, how are you going to do the do retreat in like a line of a partner? He's like, oh, I'm going to tell them to do retreat with their partners.
Do retreat with your partner.
There you go. Okay? So as far as working on your spiritual path with your spiritual partner, what can you do in a daily practice? I'd like to give you a meditation that you can do to further your practice with your spiritual partner. So we're all going to get in a position where your backs are totally straight. Maybe put your feet just flat on the floor and rest your hands somewhere comfortable in your lap. Then close your eyes gently and focus for a minute just on your breath. Place your mind at the very tip of your nose, right at the point between the inside and the outside of you, right? And just watch the air as it flows out and then back into your body. If you find your attention wandering, just bring it back to that single point. This is an exercise of bringing our mind into a neutral state before we start the main meditation. Getting yourself from the outside world to your inside world. So now, in front of you, picture the most beautiful, divine, holy, sweet being you can imagine. Body glowing in light. They are sitting close to you, just across from you. Picture that you are the only two people in the room. And this is the essence of your spiritual partner. If you already have a partner, you can think of it as them. But in your mind, you make them totally, exquisitely perfect, enlightened being. And then you start to fill in see their beautiful face. Their eyes are looking at you with so much love. See if you can feel the slight heat from your body. See if you can smell the sweet smell coming from them. Then you ask them to bless your mom. And they're so happy when you ask. And this beautiful ray of light comes from their heart and shoots straight into yours. Then you ask them to stay with you and guide you throughout the day. Just stay near. And they agree and they come. They float up in the air and they swirl around so they're facing the same direction as you, and they come to rest at the top of your head. And then they get smaller and smaller, dissolving into light, until they are the size of just like an egg. And then they sink down through your head, all the way down into the center of your heart, where they stay there with you at all times. Okay, you can open your eyes. So practicing seeing your partner, if you have one, as this holy divine being will help you plant very powerful seeds to see them that way. If you don't have a partner, practicing seeing your holy partner, the divine being, will plant seeds to see them come to you. Then along the way, if you do this daily practice, you will get to meditative stillness. You will get to that deep state of concentration that Geshe and Papa had in the temple. And, one day you will be in the arms of your partner, and you will go into this deep state of meditative stillness. And they will take you to a higher place. They will take you to a different realm, beyond all conceptions, beyond anything you have known before to this place of total truth. And you will be immersed in ultimate reality. And when you come down, you will touch the heart of every single being. And you will love them. And you will have just your first taste of what you will become in the end. We're going to do a closing prayer, and then you're going to come and do some stuff, right? So, we've talked about a lot of beautiful, holy things, things that could change your life, things that could change the whole world, and very, very powerful seeds planted in our minds. And so at the end of our talks, we like to offer up that powerful goodness that we've done together to the rest of the world. So you could just put your hands together like this and close your eyes and picture this big ball of light. That's the holy goodness that we've done here, that you've done here by listening and thinking that this might be possible. As we do the prayer, just send it all out to the people around us here in Los Angeles and in the world. Thank you for having us in Los Angeles.
Thank you.
Let's come back. Okay, get Lauren's going to come up and say a few words about Sukha Center, but from our side, we'd like to say one thing. The center here, the Law Sukha Center, is extraordinary among all the centers we're aware of, even in the world, in that they have about 15 very qualified teachers here, very good teachers. So, go to the center, go to different programs, find one that you connect with, you see? You have such a selection. It's like a candy store, and you'll find one that you connect with. So personally, Lamakas and I, we know them, we know what sweet teachers they are, and we're very blessed, and you should take advantage of it. You should try to come and find a teacher or two that you connect with.
So I have 3 offerings that I'd like to make. The first, and I'm trying to figure out how to set these things down. Set the book down. Hold that for a moment, please. So the first one is to you all. Geshe, my mother, Chrissy mentioned this, and I just wanted to offer the center to you and offer whatever we can bring to you. There are meditation classes, there are all kinds of different classes, so we offer it to you, and please come and take advantage of it. The brochures tell you what's available. Stop by. It is an offering that we make to you. Now the next one is this. Father Peter?
Oh, you tricked us. I thought you left.
Father Peter, we'd like to make this offering to you. This would not have been possible without your generosity, your great open heart, your spirit and joy, and the congregation. The bunch that you've been together, who have just been so helpful and allowed us to turn your church and your property upside down and everything available to us. So we would like to offer you a copy of the book.
Thank you, everyone. And thank you for turning it right side up, I guess.
The last one, I have not been able to figure out any words of how to say thank you for coming to teach us, for coming to LA, for teaching so many of us around the world for so long. I sincerely hope that you were speaking figuratively and not literally, as Michael would have said. The last thing I want to say in LA. Because we invite you to please come back, please teach. Please know how happy and blessed and joyous we are to have you here. And it's, all of it for you. Thank you. So, next step is there are more books out there that we can be signing.
Yeah, we can stay for a while.
Please stay.
Please stay.
Please stay.
Please stay forever. And enjoy. And I think there are more cookies and other things.
Thank you.